request Mr. Vivek Tankha, learned senior counsel, to just share his views with us. I think we'll have to spill a little bit over to the lunch session, but I think at the end you will find, no, I'm telling them, the audience, at the end you will think that it was worth missing that 15 minutes. But the speaker is still to come.
Sir, we'll still assist you by making it short, sir.
Thank you so much.
So that people have to
This
leave.
is a good lawyer. He takes the hint very fast.
We get this lesson all the time, whether we are in court or in parliament. Sir, with cutting it very short, addressing the learned dais and the learned participants here, without even taking names to make it shorter, I would say that today it was a very impressive day when we heard Justice Koteshwar Singh, Justice Varale, and then Justice Shah. I must tell you, when he spoke about legal education, it is something which we are also engrossed at in the Parliament. I'm in the Committee for DOPT, Law and Justice for many years. Mr. Manan Mishra with his entire team has come to us many times with the Secretary Justice and all other functionaries. And yes, it's time for change. If India needs to change, the law needs to evolve. If we don't evolve our law, if we don't change our patterns, if we don't change our systems, we'll be left behind. So I completely endorse what has been said by the previous speakers, and there's nothing to add. But I must also say something with Justice Amanullah mentioned, sir, about strikes. This is my view, sir. I was in Parliament last week, and one day, because of the situation, I never enter the well, because I feel it's wrong to enter the well. We parliamentarians are there to debate and not to enter the well. But one day, my whole party and the whole opposition, for some reason, decided to enter the well, and I was like pushed into the well. The Vice President looked at me and he says, no, you couldn't have come. I don't mind others. How are you inside? How can a man who's respected for his legal, in the legal fraternity as a man of law, how can he enter the well? I felt very sheepish also. And then a few days later, when the Parliament finishes, the Vice President gives the final address. I was not there, but he took my name. And he said, I was shocked when such and such person, a parliamentarian, entered the well. And we look at him as an icon. People in Madhya Pradesh follow him. And how could he be doing a wrong thing? I wrote a long letter to him. And then one day in Parliament, I got my opportunity. This is last week. And I told him, I said, sir, the problem is not that we should not enter the well. Of course we should not enter the well. But the problem is also that why are we entering the well? Because your systems do not permit the opposition to get their space. Give them their space, they will not enter the well. And I gave him 3 examples. In the House of Commons, this used to happen very often. So one day now, every week is given to the opposition to set the agenda. It's the opposition which decides what should be discussed. Suppose I wanted, I'm just giving an example. We wanted a discussion on Manipur the whole of last Parliament. We couldn't get it. We moved adjournment motions, we couldn't get it. But if we had the right of one day, it would have happened. And that would have, the steam would have passed off. Number 2, I said, if every day 50 adjournment motions are given by 50 lawyers, and they are rejected, I said, it's belittling. Now, if I enter the well, you should feel that also how belittled we must be feeling that our request is not being met. We are 50 responsible people, and what are we wanting? A discussion. And how can a discussion not be allowed? I gave him 3 such points. And another was which is not in India so far. I said, there should be a system in this country now. If you want to change, if you want to make it more democratic, a special session of a parliament can only be requisitioned if government wants it in India. That's our constitution. But I said, sir, it's time if 30% of MPs of a parliament want a discussion or a session for a subject, you should summon it. I said, you have to evolve it if you want to strengthen the democracy, if you want to strengthen the institutions, all this must happen. Everybody clapped, of course, and they said he said the right things. Why I'm saying this is, sir, by writing judgments, the strikes are not going to stop. Your stakeholders are lawyers. Please involve them more in your decision-making processes. The moment you make them responsible for your decision-making processes, the strikes will stop. I have tremendous confidence and respect for this fraternity of law. 80 to 90% of lawyers would never want to go for a strike, sir. It's only a fringe which pushes you for a strike. But that fringe can be isolated the moment we become stakeholders in a system. And that is what not only applies for court, it applies for the country. If you want India to be peaceful, if you want peace in Kashmir, in Northeast, in South, in West, wherever, you have to make people of each area stakeholders of their lives. If you make them stakeholders of their lives, obviously you would find that they would not be indulging in things which we perceive as incorrect or irrational or violating our norms. So the point that I'm making, sir, look at this huge issue of strike. If we only think that passing judgments, we can stop the strikes, it has not happened. Supreme Court has passed so many judgments on this issue, sir. But these strikes happen because of sometimes incorrectly, sometimes irrationally, but sometimes they're justified also. So if you make the system more participative, I think the things will change. Another thing I want to say that there are two eras of lawyering, the pre and the post-constitution. Pre-constitution, we didn't have a constitution. There was a justice edifice, and in that justice edifice, justice would take place. Post-constitution, we have a people's edifice. People have rights. People have duties. People can approach to court. And a citizen has been empowered, in fact. The constitution empowers the citizen to enforce his rights, to protect his rights, sir. And believe me, you are the protectors of the rights of people, while lawyers, I say, are soldiers of democracy. So if the soldiers of democracy and the protectors of rights of people come together in unison, I don't think anybody can take this country astray. Your Bar Council has a very big role to play, whether it be legal education, whether it be discipline, whether it be selection process, everywhere. It has a very big role to play, which, yes, you are right, sir, they have not been playing. In fact, post-Bar Council, the disciplinary actions, frankly speaking, I feel, are abysmally low. Now that I find in Parliament also. People use such abusive words inside Parliament and they get away. How can you be rude? How can you be intemperate? How can you be wrong and get away, sir? What I'm trying to just say at the end is, this society needs to have its sense of justice in place. You need to have your sense of justice in place. You can't be partisan in your sense of justice. If you're fair, if you're just, I'm sure the society or any institution would work correctly and will be on the right path. So with this little summation, I would only say that I'm grateful that I was asked to come here and speak on a topic which I say is called justice. And justice is the oldest concept of the world. It was a concept which even kings followed. It was a concept which even the crown followed. It was a concept which was evolved by courts. It's a concept which has been developed by the Constitution. It's a concept which is dear to our heart. And without justice and without a Constitution which gives justice to us, there is no life. And if there is no life, I feel there is no human rights. And if there are no human rights, then we are not living in a civilized world. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Vivek. That was a very spirited